Today we're going to be doing the Condition 1 menu, and this Condition 1 menu is from this book. It's by Egoscue. It's the Egoscue Method of Health Through Motion. Great book. And in his book he talks about 3 common conditions. Condition 1, 2, and 3. And basically what we're focusing on today is Condition 1, where the pelvis is tilted forward, the knees and the feet are pointed more out, and you're bending through your upper trunk. So when you are looking at all 3 of those postures, commonly people don't fit exactly into one of those postures. You may be parts of one, and commonly people are like a Condition 1 and 2, maybe some of a 2 and a 3. And there's some common variations that are happening. This book was written a long time ago, in like the 80s, 90s. So with our sedentary society, there's also some changes, and I almost would say there's like probably a Condition 4 that's kind of evolving as time is going on. But in focusing on Condition 1, and what we're going to demo today, is for somebody whose pelvis is tipping forward, anterior tilt, and they might get some lordosis, some arching through their low back, and you would notice kind of your hip bones are lower in the front more so than your back. Now, from the front view, it would be that your knees and your feet are pointing outward, and from the upper back, a little bit of a bending through here. It really depends on the person. It might be a lot or it might be less. The head may be shooting forward some. So that gives you a sense if this is the right idea of something to try for yourself. Now, going back to this, the big message here is no pain with any exercise in any of the posture alignment program that we do. That's really, it's one thing to feel hard work. It's another thing to have a true pain or a referring pain, things like that. So if you feel any of that, don't do the exercise. It's not for you. We're going to go ahead and start with the first exercise in the Condition 1 menu. So with standing exercises, we start a lot the same way. We are going to parallel our feet hip width apart. And so when I say hip width apart, I'm talking about the center of the hip down, not the outsides of the feet. And then when your feet are parallel, we're looking at the outsides of the feet being parallel. So it's totally okay to feel a little bit pigeon-toed or toes turning in. And so we get our feet set, then we're going to move to our hands, and we're going to go to the golfer's grip, which is bending at the first knuckle. I'm just going to go a little closer so you can see. Get my feet set. Golfer's grip. Down. I'm going to tighten my thighs. I'm going to bring my shoulder blades back, and I'm going to bring my arms up. And we're going to be doing 40 circles here. So tightening those thighs, active shoulder blades, we get like a little bit of a momentum through our hips because we're stabilizing through our hips. Now I'm going to turn to the side so you can see what we're supposed to be doing from the side view. You don't want to have your hips rolling forward or leaning forward. We want to be nice and loaded while we do these 40 repetitions. And so chin is level to the ground, and we are going to do a few more, bringing arms down. So then we reset our hands, golfer grip, I check my feet, hands down, tighten my thighs, flip the palms over, thumbs are pointed backwards, engage my shoulder blades, arms up, and now I'm going to go backwards, and I want you to think about the same thing. Do you find your hips are wanting to bow forward? Really think about the loading of your joints. Chin is level to the ground, no tension in your upper shoulders, and we are going for 40 arm circles going backwards. And a couple more. All right, arms down. So the second exercise we're going to do is elbow curls. And so our feet are going to be parallel again, just like we did in the first exercise. So again, hip width apart, is center of the hip, outsides of the feet parallel, okay to feel pigeon-toed. We are going to go back to that golfer's grip, bending at the first knuckle, thumbs pointed out. This time, tighten those thighs, and now you're going to flip your hands so that your knuckles are on your temples. And it's really important to be mindful of what your wrists are doing and to not bend them. So we're going to open and close with our elbows. Again, watch what's happening with the tension in your body. Are you leaning forward or this way? So we're doing 25 of these, and I'm just getting back in line. And we're opening and closing. It's through the upper back and your shoulders, like a hinging motion. Many people will be a much smaller motion than this when starting, because this is an area of the body that we are very tight in, especially with all the sitting, phone and computer activities we do. So be patient with yourself if you can't quite get a lot of motion, and that's why you don't want to be bending at the wrist instead. Try to keep it straight. Okay. So the next exercise we're going to do is called the static back presses. And when this book was written, that was the original name. It's now just called static back. And so basically what we want to get into a position is 90 degrees. So 90 degrees at my knees, 90 degrees at my hips. So I have this nice block. However, you could be using an ottoman. I have a chair in the room that if you find that you can't get your right height, sometimes you move yourself away to sort of create that position. You can add pillows or a couch cushion to help get you to that 90 position. It depends on your body. We want to be in this position for about 5 minutes. It could be longer, especially if you find it relieving, maybe 5-10 minutes, maybe 15. You don't want to stay here all day. Movement is more important than just lying here. So we get in this position, we kind of relax our legs, take note of what's happening with your back. When we're talking about a condition 1 person, their back might be commonly, you may feel a lot of arch in your back. And with time, you're going to feel that lowering to the ground. If you find that your head is up off the ground and tipping back like this, I want you to fold a little towel or 2 towels or something small and raise up your head, because we want this area to be relaxed. The arms are out to the side, about 45 degrees away from the body, palms up. This is also important. The hands will commonly turn like this, so we really want to open them up. If you want to get the most out of the exercise, you really want to have flat hands. Gravity is acting upon us on the whole body in terms of it's working on our pelvis, letting things relax. It's working across our chest, opening things up. So even though you're lying in this position and you don't feel like you're doing much, there's so many things happening with the body. The curves of the spine can help change a little bit, because again, if you're flexed up like this, gravity is going to work on that and get that to release. So if you need to, you can pause the video, because I won't necessarily be here the whole amount of time, and you can pause it and continue on for the amount of time that you need to stay in this position, especially as you feel things opening up and relaxing, and you can practice breathing here. So we're going to move on, but know that you can spend more time in this position. For the next exercise we're going to do, it's called the supine groin stretch. And this is a longer exercise, but can be very powerful and do a lot for your body. So things that you need is the same thing that you had before. This might be a chair. I have this block, could be an ottoman. You likely will need to put some kind of folded towels or a cushion on to help get that 90 position. The other thing is you need something that can block your foot while it's straight so it doesn't rotate out. So I took out a little hand weight and a block. You could use a shoebox at home, maybe a soup can. So different ways to just block the foot. So we're going to get into position, and I am going to get mat down there, lock here, and we are down. And so then you put your arms out to the side, palms up. Arms are about 45 degrees away from you. So again, gravity can act upon the whole upper body, but the big thing that's going on here is about our hips. Now, somebody who's condition 1 is likely going to have a lot of arch in their back here, and you may find that your leg can't touch the ground because you're so tight in this area. So that's what we're trying to release. Now, the length of time you could stay in here would be possibly 10 minutes, whatever you do on one leg, you do it on the other leg. So it could be 10 minutes, it could be 15, 20, up to 30 minutes a leg. Different ways that you'll know that you've kind of achieved it is as your back feels released to the floor, and you're feeling like your leg is straighter. And then there's another interesting way to check this exercise is if you tighten your thigh and you feel a contraction more in the lower part of your leg, what you will notice after minutes, you could check it in 5 minutes or 7 minutes, you'll start to find that you'll get a better contraction of your thigh further up as the time passes on. So those are your ways for deciding on your length of time. Again, if you find your head is tipping back, you want to have a little towel under your head to modify that. Sometimes, again, when we're really rounded in our upper backs, that is what happens. This is a great time to listen to some kind of podcast or something that just helps you relax and pass the time. This is about separation of our inner thighs, helping the hip flexor release. This will help your stride length when you're walking. It helps reconnect the joints. So we're going to stay here, spend the time, and do the other side. Again, you're going to match the time. So you might want to start with the side that you feel is a little tighter and let that determine the length of time, and then you would still match it on the other side to keep the body balanced and even. That's what we're trying to do here with postural alignment, is create more symmetry between the muscles and positioning the bones back into stacking on top of each other. Which just gives a proper mechanical advantage to the different muscles. And it's amazing how many pains, different types of pains can be relieved from this type of work. So it could be a neck pain, a shoulder pain, a foot pain, a back pain. So can be very powerful. So go ahead and switch your sides at your time, and hope this helps the explanation. Moving on. On to the next exercise. You're going to be put your mat near a wall, and we're going to be lying down so that we are back to that 90-90 position, so 90 knees, 90 hips, and with our feet flat on the wall. And again, same concept, feet are going to be nice and parallel. You're still thinking that same hip width, center of the hip width, that's how wide your feet are. And then you are going to be putting your hands behind your head. And when you put them behind your head, we're going to be doing some abdominals here. We're clasping our hands just like this, and you put it at eye level behind your head, and your elbows are going to be pulled back. So this is different than our traditional abdominals, crunches, where we would bend. This one, we are not doing that. We are going to look up and back on the ceiling, and we are going to lift and lower. And lift, this is going to be about 25 times. You can do 2 sets of 25. And when you do these, what is happening is our upper back is getting some of the work, rather than when we spend so much time in a flex position all day with our head bent and our shoulders rounded. So we're really trying to pull those elbows back, looking up and back on the ceiling, and lifting and lowering. So yes, it is some abdominals, but it is also about the upper back. And we've put our lower half of our body in a nice aligned position. using the ground to create, and the wall to create some evenness for our body. And we're lifting and lowering. And so you can do 2 sets of 25. You would pause and then begin your second set, looking up and back. And be mindful of your rib cage right here, in terms of if you're wanting to arch it, make sure your rib cage is staying pressed into the ground as you lift and lower. And you'll be finishing up your second set of 25. Okay. Moving on. So the next exercise we're going into is foot circles. So we're going to lie on our back all the way down. Again, if you find your head is tipping backwards, you can always put a little towel there. Otherwise, we want to be all the way on our back. Again, when you have your legs down, that same hip width apart, the feet are not together, so we're still creating that same alignment. You're going to bend in a knee. You're going to put your hands underneath your knee, not on top, underneath, clasping them behind. Your shoulders are relaxed back or maybe a little bit engaged through your shoulders. This shin is parallel to the ground. The big thing on this down leg that you're going to have is you want your kneecap to stay up to the ceiling. Your leg may want to turn out, but you're really going to want to use the work of your leg to keep your kneecap up towards the ceiling. So now from here, the actual exercise, the foot circles, is going out with your foot. And we're going to be aiming for 40 circles out, then we'll do 40 in, and then 40 point flex. So as I'm going out, I am trying to recruit all the muscles in my foot and ankle. I'm not moving through my shin. And but you really will find sticking points sometimes where your foot or your ankle or your toes is a little bit tight and doesn't want to move. So you're trying to work through that. And again, be mindful that you're not pulling up like this. We're relaxed on the ground. Watch what that straight leg is doing. It's really common for the straight leg to turn out, and you have to catch yourself and put it back. So I'm going to go ahead and begin my in circles, going in, really trying to recruit everything. And we're going in. It's amazing because this exercise really incorporates a lot of different parts of our body. This hip is actually working. We've got the down leg stabilizing. We're positioning the upper back more flat with our head in a proper alignment, plus the function of the foot. Now we're going to move on to point flex. And typically by the time you get to the point flex, you are pretty fatigued and quite a bit of muscle burning through the shin. Again, if there was any pain, you would not continue with any of these exercises. So important to listen to your body. So we're finishing up on this side. So we'd be going for about 40. Again, that's what's recommended in the condition menu. If you do need to lessen that, I would just do the exact same thing from side to side. Whatever number you do that number for your circles out, your circles in, and your point flexes, and then same for right to left sides. Okay, going to switch. Bringing my right leg down and my left leg up, hands underneath that knee, clasping behind, shin parallel to the ground. I will find that people will have their leg up or down, so be mindful of that. Kneecap on the down leg up to the ceiling, relax my shoulders back or just engage them a little bit, and then go outward. Now, what I have found, my left foot did a lot of clicking when I began this, and I find it is improved. And the more my hips are engaged, the better my left foot is at not clicking. And I think part of that is just certain muscles aren't engaging as well. And so as we get more functional in using our muscles properly, things like that can resolve or lessen. And so again, we are doing 40 circles going out. Watch what's happening on your down leg. Is that kneecap wanting to rotate outward? Go ahead and rotate it back up to the ceiling. Really try to recruit all the muscles in the foot. Now we're going to go back to the inside. Again, we're aiming for 40. And going all the way inside circles. And make sure you're not holding your breath. That's a common thing to do with these exercises, well, with any exercise, and obviously that's not what we want to be doing. We want to make sure we're breathing. And watch what that knee's doing on the other side. And all the way around, really recruiting all of the muscles, toes and the ankle. Watch what your shin is doing, and then point flex. Did it kind of creep up on you or down? All common things. A nice total body thing happening with this exercise. So much going on. So a few more of these. You should have your burning now in the shin, a little bit of muscle work. Again, not pain, just muscle tiring and fatigue. Really important to listen to your body. Okay, all right, moving on. So the next exercise we're going to is cats and dogs. So this is a hands and knees position. I'm sure you may have heard of it in yoga. Hips over knees, shoulders over wrists. So we're trying to get nice, good alignment to start. Now, for your arms, some people have some issues with their arms with hyperextending. The best way to do this is to have the inside of your crease facing inward, and that will help with that alignment. The other thing is sometimes people have a lot of difficulty bringing their shoulder blades together while keeping their elbows straight. That's what we're aiming for, so hopefully that gets better with time. So we start moving through the pelvis, so we're going to drop the pelvis down and sort of sink our shoulder blades together, and the head comes up. Then everything else rounds like a C. So I move through my pelvis. I'm going to sink back down, bring my shoulder blades together, head goes up. Again, if anything hurts, then you need to modify it or skip the exercise. So what you will find is that people with condition 1 type bodies may have a harder time going this way in this pose. So you might want to take a little extra second to work on that. Typically, they're likely to have an easier time with this tilting forward. So in cats and dogs, it's about 10 times. And again, you're rolling through the pelvis, shoulder blades coming together, head looks up. Again, no tension in the upper traps. We're not trying to draw our shoulders up to our head. And back and forth. And a couple more times. And hopefully as you go, you will feel this motion get a little bit looser. And you can find the sticking points, areas where you don't move as well. And hopefully through this they will improve. Okay, completing 10 times and moving on. So the next exercise is downward dog. Now you may have done this in yoga, but in the Egoscue Method of Postural Alignment, we kind of have our own instructions here. So really listen to the cues. I don't really get in the full position properly, so we're going to, listen to what I say, and you might be able to do more than I can. But it's, again, different type of exercise than necessarily the full traditional yoga downward dog. So we get into our cats and dogs position. The same position as the start. shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. And from that position, you are going to be tucking your toes under, and we're going to engage a little bit through the hips here because that's where we want our pelvis to be. And then we're going to push up into our downward dog. So we want our back up here to be nice and straight. So I'm pressing back with my hands. I am keeping my knees very bent because my hamstrings are on the tighter side. But even if you're pretty flexible, in order to get this engagement here and have your back nice and long, you want to start with those bent knees and heels raised, and then you can slowly try and straighten your knees. And if you're more flexible, then you'd be slowly lowering your heels. For me, I kind of lose the alignment there. So we're holding this for 30 seconds to a minute, and watch what's happening through your rib cage and making sure that it's not flaring. Your upper traps and your shoulders, make sure they're not trying to get up near your ears, and really open your hands and press actively through your hands. And I'm going to lower back down. Okay, so the next exercise, and we're almost at the end of the condition 1 menu, is runner stretch. And so we're going to do in the book it does show there's a modified and the regular version. We're going to start with the modified and I'll kind of explain about the regular version. So to get in this one, you put your heel of one leg matching to the knee of the other. So that's your start position. You can have something in front of you that could be your chair or your ottoman. People who are more flexible, you could be yoga blocks. If you're really flexible, then you can do the full position. So from here, you go up, and again, the key is we don't want this kind of rounding. So we're trying to, again, get that engaged, that rolling forward of your hips. So you can drop your head a little bit, tighten your thighs, put the weight on the insides of your feet. Check and make sure that your feet are both really pointed straight ahead and you're holding this position. Now, you could be, again, further down like this using yoga blocks. All depends on your position. Now, I can't really get that rolling forward of the arch. I do have tight hamstrings. I do the best that I can, stuff that I still work on myself. So again, for me, this would not be the right level for me. I am not fully down there. And so you're going to be holding this 30 seconds to a minute, and then you would go back down and you would switch sides, reset, and then go up. So that helps, that positioning helps get the alignment. And again, check those feet, tighten the thighs. You might be different side to side. We're also being mindful of what our hips are doing. Do we find that our hip wants to draw forward, leveling our hips? In this exercise, there's a lot happening. Again, you're trying to roll those hips forward. So be really mindful about meeting your body where it is at on this exercise. Again, nothing with pain. Really try to put your ego aside if you can't go as low in order to keep your knees straight, to get the proper alignment and really try and get a little bit of that engaging of the front of the hip. Hope that helps on the explanation. Okay, so for the last exercise in the condition 1 menu, it's air bench. You need a wall. Safety things are so important with this one. You want to either be on a yoga mat with bare feet, or you want to have sneakers on. You don't want to slide down the wall and fall on your bottom. So we walk our feet out. You can have a timer. I'm just setting that, and you can use your phone timer. So as you walk your feet out and come down on the wall, it's okay for your ankles to be a little bit in front of your knees. And what we want is we're going to press our back into the wall. We are hip width again. This whole center of the hip, our feet are nice and straight and parallel. You can have a yoga block between your knees. Sometimes people's knees want to collapse in or collapse out. Yoga block can help. But now the key here is you're going to press your low back into the wall. I want you to try and put the weight through your heels. That changes where the work is coming from. You can rest your hands on your thighs. They can be down. We're basically taking the work out of our back and putting it into our legs and letting them do more of the work. This is a great exercise after all these things that we've done where we've kind of released muscles, let things get back to their good alignment. And this kind of wakes some of our leg muscles up and asks them to kind of get on board and activate and work together. So I'm going to come out, and that was about 1 minute and 10 seconds for me. Now, in the book it says 1 to 3 minutes. Even doing a minute it's great. It's a hard exercise. My goal is to at least get to the 2 minutes. I have a tough time getting there, so that's something that I am working on. So now that we've completed the condition 1 menu, hopefully you are feeling looser and more mobile, maybe even sturdier. So check in with your body. I just want to remind you when using this video that you want to not do any of these exercises if they are causing you pain. We want to listen to our body and make sure that it's the right exercise. And a lot of times you can eventually do an exercise, but you need something else done first so that your body can move in that right direction and go further with the exercises. The postural alignment method is really a process, and it is amazing how your body can change and become more functional as you work through different exercise programs. So again, you're picking one of these condition menus to start and feel it out. Experiment with it, see how it goes, respect your body, and if you have any messages, you can email me, you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook, send a message through one of those, you can subscribe to my channel, all of this to learn more. And I love practicing postural alignment. If you didn't know, I'm a physical therapist and I love putting these two things together. So hope you enjoyed this video. So this menu is again created for those deviations that we talked about that commonly go together. And so when you talk about the postural alignment method, we really like to make a menu that's individualized for you as your own particular posture. But these are a great place to start and to see how your body responds. And so that's why when you do this, if something's not right, skip the exercise and move on, or modify it if you need to make this work for you. Most important is listen to your body, and if you haven't been moving at all, you can check with your doctor and get cleared to make sure it is okay for you to be exercising.